Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, your master of fun and wonder, your viceroy of verisimilitude, and whatever other nicknames you want to hang on me, because I only accept ones that people give to me, not ones I give myself. But you know what? You know who I do give a nickname to? Well-deserved. The Empress, actually the Enchantress of Effervescence.
My gosh. I was going to say, I was like, what's my nickname?
I was going to change it, but I figured no. The Enchantress and the
girl
with
some stuff.
The girl with 1,000 voices.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I like it. I got the Princess of Positivity in chat, and I like
That's
that one
good.
too.
Okay, so we've got
cute.
the Enchantress of Effervescence, the Princess of Positivity. We should have one more.
Yeah, because you got to work in threes.
Yeah, you got to have three.
Go for it,
the
chat.
Rule of threes. Give her a third nickname. That's Kris Carr, everyone. And this is the Weekly Hero, issue number 19.
Woo-woo!
Wow. You know, there's more and more comic book superhero-related news coming down the pike. We got a good show for you today.
Yes, we do.
Beginning with the idea, there's talk of a live-action Invincible series. We were talking about it on the show this morning. Robert Kirkman, the impresario of Invincible?
Yeah.
The impresario of Invincible. There you go.
That's a great name.
He created this series, the comic series that was put out by Image originally. And it is obviously a very violent animated show that we all took much glee in watching.
Oh, hell yeah.
By the way, you can get a third-party Omni-Man. It's a great figure.
Ooh.
So Toys made a good one.
I would want that one.
The same company that made what we're going to show later today, which is one of my favorite
it's a good
six-scale figures I've gotten in a long time. But so, Kris, let me ask you this. You know, we were talking about the fact that about IP and how it's easier to get something made. Do you think they'll make an Invincible movie, and would they have to make it R-rated for it to be good?
If they made it, I think you would have to give it an R rating, because that is what is so intrinsically tied to this IP is the hyper violence. That's the whole shift, like we were talking about today, of going from this kind of unassuming, almost Peter Parker-esque story of getting your powers, getting the attention of the girl you like at school, you know, living in the shadows of some great people too. Like, he is the son of a superhero and he hasn't gotten his powers, and then he finally does, and then we have this horrific violence happen. I think you need to have it there. When it comes to the actual live action adaptation, I think they're sure going to try to make it. I just don't know if they should. You know? Yeah,
you know, it's interesting because I think back to something. I don't know if these are equal, but Kick-Ass came from an indie comic that was, I think, also published by Image. I'm not sure. I think Kick-Ass might have been.
I'm not sure.
Either that or Dark Horse, but I think it was Image. But so that was a hyper-violent comic, but it was kind of a parody. This is more not a parody. It's still hyper violent.
Yeah.
But I think part of its reason for existing is, in fact, the violence. And, you know, one of the things that people, when I saw Man of Steel, people are always talking about, oh, well, Superman's not saving the civilian population. The problem is, if you have two Kryptonians going mano-a-mano in the skies over Metropolis, many, many people are going to die. There's buildings are falling, lots of people are going to perish. And I think that when you have superpowered beings that are this powerful in conflict, you can't help but deal with mass casualties no matter what happens. I mean, one of my favorite comic books of all time is Alan Moore's Miracle Man. And in issue 15 of Miracle Man, Miracle Man's arch nemesis is waiting for him in London. He's slaughtering people, like thousands of people, and putting their heads on pikes, waiting for Miracle Man to show up to take him down. And that was horrific.
Do you think they're going to do it on the Disney Plus show?
I don't think so.
Probably not.
No, I don't think they would do that. But I mean, with this, part of the fun, I mean, is it fun? I guess I can say it's fun. But isn't part of the fun the violence? Like, isn't what The Boys does, like when Homelander takes somebody's head off?
Well, and that's the thing, right? The Boys does it really, really well. They take that violence and they make it work. It's hyper stylized. It helps with the kind of narrative they're telling too about how if you had great power, you would be just a complete asshole, you know? And that's what a lot of what
so
happens
dangerous.
Here. You'd be wildly dangerous. But my big issue here too is, one, I just worry about the translation, right? Because this is like reading the comic books, but there are some different spins there. Kirkman himself has talked about how he hopes the series does kind of go off the rails from what he's already written in the comics, and they do its own thing, which I'm very much here for. But from a timing standpoint, the bigger issue I have is the feature film part of it all. Just to condense all of that lore and everything that you have to have that big twist into one feature film.
Well, yeah, I think there's too much. It's a trilogy. No, it's...
Maybe. I mean, it'd be weird to end with the twist. You can't do it like you did in the pilot.
No. No, I don't know how they would do it. I mean, my problem is this. Invincible uses a lot of elements from other or other superhero mythologies that we know about, whether it's Spider-Man, whether it's Superman, whether it's Batman, I mean, or passing the torch. Nightwing wasn't necessarily Batman's son, but there is an element of that, living in the shadow of a superhero and then taking on a mantle of your own. And I just wonder, I mean, this isn't going to be cheap. Would it be worth spending the kind of money that a live-action Invincible series would cost?
Yeah.
I mean, a live-action movie, would it be worth spending the money?
That's what they're going to have to figure out. And they will still have Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg behind this, which I think is another tip in the right direction because they've done really, really well with other IP. But we'll see if this comes to fruition.
I mean, it's interesting because they've taken on a lot of IP that's difficult. Preacher, which was so well done.
Yeah,
I thought it was really well done.
The Boys, they elevated it from the source material.
Yes, they did. I mean, I thought when I was reading The Boys, because I think I have 4 absolute editions of it. Ooh. Even I was like, this went a little too far. Just and there was an element of that in the comics. Preacher, I always felt like Garth Ennis was just, let me just see how far, let me see how blasphemous I can get or how disgusting. Let me make one of my main characters somebody who tried to shoot their head off.
When he does not like the superhero genre, too. So that's why I was like, I'm going to do it this way.
It was great. Well, so yay or nay on Invincible as a live-action film?
I'm leaning towards nay right now. But with all the right people behind it, maybe they can make it work.
Yeah, I just don't know if they should.
Yeah.
I mean, leave it as the animated series works really, really well.
It's killer.
It is killer.
It's really great. Let us know what you think, though.
What do you think down in the comments? Tell us if we're right or wrong. You know what we're not wrong about? Legal matters. You know why?
I don't. Work with lawyers.
Yeah, we have good lawyers. I
we don't take care of them ourselves.
I have a few good lawyers, and you know who's going to have a couple of good lawyers? Actually, more than a couple.
Yeah.
Is the new Daredevil Born Again series from Disney Plus.
Yeah.
They're hiring real life lawyers who have experience, not just real great trial experience. They've written books together collectively. They've written books about the law. They've worked on other shows beforehand. And they're hiring, and one of them is from the Public Defender's Office, I think, in New York City.
David Feige from the Bronx Freedom Fund. And
no relation,
by the
way.
Yeah, no relation. But so they're having a lot of actual public defenders coming into the writer's room so they can get this right, which I think is very interesting.
You know what I love about this? One of the things that they kind of cut out of the theatrical version, but it's in the director's cut of the original Daredevil from 2003 with Ben Affleck as Matt Murdock. They added more legalese. Like you had to see Foggy and Matt Murdock trying or getting their clients off.
Yeah.
And I think that part of this show, and it's something I kind of, maybe it's because of my own expectation, I thought She-Hulk would lean more into legal cases set within a superheroic universe. Like what happens? They did a little bit of it. And when they did touch on it, it's pretty good. I think that, but this is going to be a superhero going more into the real world and helping real people. It's an extension, or actually Daredevil is an extension of the legal work he did being a pro bono lawyer, public defender. I think this makes me really excited. The show, it will have an authenticity that could make it pretty good.
I think it'll really flesh things out. And a lot of the other people they've used here, too, have been consultants on things like Law & Order. They've been involved in the Arrowverse and things like that as well to give that kind of legalese. Because I hate when a show says something so far-fetched, when it's either the science where it is so bananas wrong. I need things to exist in a reality.
Yeah.
And so I love when they actually bring on people who they are experts in these fields. And say what you will about She-Hulk. I know it wasn't everyone's taste. My dad's a lawyer. He was a corporate attorney for many, many years. And he also does some ghostwriting for some other companies and stuff too. He loved how She-Hulk encapsulated corporate culture and being a kind of corporate attorney. He thought they did a really great job at that. He's so excited about this because having, a public defender as your main character, there's a lot of red tape, there's a lot of legalese, and you can't just say whatever you want. I really, really enjoy the fact that they're going to work within the actual realm of the law, because that's the way Matt first tries to handle things.
Yes.
And it often just fails him. And I think we need to see how all of that red tape and how arbitration and everything can be so daunting and so harrowing that this is the only choice, is to mask up.
I think so too. And what I really am looking forward to is that our legal system does not necessarily favor those who can't afford a great defense.
Exactly.
And that's what Matt Murdock's whole thing is. I'm going to be there for the downtrodden, the people that can't afford any other representation. And the more real that is, I think the more the show will resonate, because we can recognize that, dare I say it, verisimilitude.
Exactly.
So I think it's going to be a great show. I love the fact that it doesn't matter to me whether the violence is the same level as the Netflix show. What I want is compelling drama.
Exactly.
And I want the character of Matt Murdock to be fleshed out. I think they're not going to shy away from the fisticuffs, so to speak.
For sure.
But I would like to see a more hard-hitting legal side to this show. So I'm looking forward to that.
Same here. I'm very glad they brought on more avocados at law.
That's true. Yeah. You know what else I'm looking forward to?
What?
The return of one of the greatest video games
of
all time. One of the great first-person shooters, but more than that, one of the great multiplayer games. I've seen more people scream at each other. This is a classic game that's now over 25 years, or it's about 26 years old when it originally came out. They did reissue this game.
Yes.
But this game was one of the most, in my life, I know it's going to date me as an old man, but
no, never.
The Nintendo version of GoldenEye.
Yeah,
N64.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the two games that we played the most when the N64 came out was Shadows of the Empire, because the first level was snow speeders taking out Imperial walkers in the snow. And it was so much fun. It was so close at that time. But then GoldenEye. Ooh. This game, not only was it fun as a first-person shooter, but it was also so much fun, like I said, playing. You have a party, you're drinking. This is the greatest game because you could get loud and boisterous. And it was just as much fun to watch as it was to play. And the colorful language my friends used to throw in each other's directions while they played this game was absolutely hilarious.
Oh yeah, same. Taylor and I were just talking about this.
Yeah.
For my golden birthday, when I turned 28 on the 28th, I had a James Bond themed party where you had to dress up as a James Bond character, and the only thing playing on television was N64 GoldenEye. That was the only thing that could be on a screen, so that you could play GoldenEye, and we had martinis, and things got heated and rowdy. This game's the best.
This game is the best. And then you can unlock other James Bond villains, and it's coming now to Nintendo Switch.
I'm so excited. And Xbox. I know that's important for Ray.
Okay,
Ray
it's coming to Xbox. Now, Taylor, when is this dropping? Is it 2 days?
This is dropping in 2 days on the 27th. I could not be more excited. I used to, before you could play online with friends, I used to go to my neighbor's place, bring my N64 with me, blow in the cartridge when it didn't work, which I don't know if that was actually a thing or not. But it was so fun because you would have everyone in the same room. And so I'm really hoping that we can do this as like a play-in chat, just to have 4 people playing, battle it out. Oh man, it's so fun.
Oh no, one of my friends, Steve Melching, is a pretty successful animation writer. He was like the wicked dead shot in this game. And if you were playing with him, oh man, it was so frustrating because I never knew where he was. I just would feel the bullet enter my head. Not for real. The virtual bullet entering my head. But this game, for those of you who've never played this game, I understand games have gotten a lot more sophisticated in the last 25 years. But there is something, this game had just enough graphics at the time. It seemed so sophisticated at the time for a first-person shooter.
Yeah.
But it was something about the mechanics and the physics of that game that made it so much fun to play.
You had so much agency. You felt like you were there, right? And I remember seeing that rendering of Pierce Brosnan. As a kid, I was just like, these are the greatest graphics I've ever seen in my life. These are amazing. I thought this was the coolest thing ever. And it was one that my dad would play with me too.
Oh,
which
yeah.
is very important.
So good.
Yeah.
And it's coming to Switch, and I can't wait. I mean, now with my old decrepit reflexes, I don't know how good I'm going to be. I don't know how good I'm going to be.
You're a spring chicken.
Well, I try.
Yeah.
I'm going to do some more V-Shred. I'm going to drop 50 pounds and turn it into pure muscle just so I can play GoldenEye better.
Ooh,
I'm telling
I love that for you.
That means no alcohol, though. No sugar.
It hasn't
no
been
diet
that bad, honestly.
Pepsi. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I also, I went to the gym at 5 a.m. today. I'm that person now.
Wow.
Who is she? She's
yeah, but
not
don't
as
you
fun.
go to bed at like 6?
I mean, I wish
6.
I could. Honestly, that's my ideal time.
So I go to bed at 6 a.m. You go to bed 12 hours before me.
This is why we never would have worked, Rob.
I would have made it work.
Oh,
come on,
sweet man.
Yeah, but I would have had to be younger too.
That's true.
What are you gonna do? Well, you know what that brings me to? Infections of the fungal kind.
We never would have worked. Infection.
Infections
segue.
of the way I used to be. Cordyceps. I think it's on the word. It's on the tips of everyone's tongue. Cordyceps. First of all, I would love to see, since The Last of Us debuted, how many we've had a lot of think pieces about they're real. The cordyceps infection could happen, and I want to know what the Google search numbers are for cordyceps of the last 2 weeks. I mean, it has to be one of the most. I don't know why it hasn't trended on Twitter yet that I've seen, but I'm sure it will.
Oh, for sure.
Now, one of the big things about The Last of Us is how they've changed, and I think for the better, they've changed the lore, the cordyceps lore, in that it's not spread anymore by airborne spores. You have to be bitten, or a tendril has to get you, which I actually kind of like better, because in the game, I'm like, come on, if there's if there's this kind of an infection, you could never get away. They would be everywhere.
Exactly.
There would be no place that would be safe.
Well, and that's what Mason brought up too, of everyone would get infected, or at the very least, the infection would spread so much faster. Everyone would be having to wear a mask constantly in the show. So they did make these changes, but they were saying there's still a possibility that we're going to explore the spore.
Can I get it? Hashtag explore the spore.
That's going to be some new merch for us.
Yeah, new the John Campea Show. Explore the spore. So here's the thing. Let me ask you this. How do you feel when during adaptation they have to change things to make it more believable? Because when you're watching or playing a video game, you're not analyzing the idea of the spores. Like, wait a minute. Just because I'm standing here, if I walked over there, there's spores over there, but they're not here.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't really think about that as much in the game.
I think you give things a little more leeway in games.
A lot more leeway.
Of just, and that's where the spores live, and it's fine. And I'm wearing my mask right now, so I'm very good. I don't have any problems at all.
I thought the change, especially in the second episode in Infection, where you see the undulating bodies on the ground.
Yes.
That was so creepy. And then the fact they established that the tendrils of the cordyceps are growing underneath like actual forest-born fungi, brain.
The hive mind that fungus does in fact have or can have, which is bananas creepy.
I thought, now, as far as adaptation goes, that's the way to do it.
Exactly. If it enhances the story, if it makes you more invested in this too, I talk about this, whether it's a D&D campaign or your own acting work, the more immersed you are in lore, environment, etc., the more immersed your audience is going to be. You have to buy into it before anyone else will. So if it is something like, oh, there's a spore right next to me, but I'm not in that little poopy mushroom cloud, so I'm fine.
Yeah.
No one's going to find that to be a real threat. If you make things have real threats, if you see the masses of the infected, knowing where they're around, knowing that stepping on the wrong thing could trigger them coming after you, that raises the stakes in such a different way than a little spore cloud. It
does. And, I don't know if they bring it in later. To me, they've already done such a great job. They can bring the idea of airborne spores up to ratchet up the level of infection. But also, when you're making a TV show, you don't want to cover the face of the actors that you're paying money to. And I thought that was a good compromise, and that it was a great thing to change. And it made it. They added more lore to the cordyceps in terms of those, and the way they showed it. Stepping on one thing alerts when they all woke up. It was like, oh, we've got 3 minutes.
Yeah,
and you've got this rushing horde. Are coming.
It's
toward
so spooky. And you know what? The world also deserves to see more of Pedro Pascal's face.
It's true. We don't get it in the We don't get it in Mandalorian. He was in his contract. I don't want to wear a gas mask. I would like people to see who I am, not just hear my voice. So you're down with that change?
I love it. I think it's great.
You know what I think is really important when fungus is involved? Manscaping.
Sure is.
That's right. When you've got fungal issues, there's a way to handle them, and we're going to tell you right now.
Take care of your bits in business.
Hey guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Manscaped. Breaking news, Manscaped now sells beard products. That's right, they are once again revolutionizing men's grooming with the brand new Beard Hedger Pro Kit. Now you can finally use Manscaped products to make your drapes match your carpet by going to manscaped.com and using the code Campea for 20% off and free shipping. It all starts with the Beard Hedger. This thing is a juggernaut of fixing faces. First off, this cordless trimmer has a rotary wheel that gives you 20 hair cutting lengths, all with one guard. So no more messy drawers full of extra add-ons. You also get the beard shampoo and conditioner. Because guys, you gotta remember that all of your hair is different. Your beard hair is more coarse and easier to damage than the hair on your head. Next, the kit has Manscaped's beard oil. The oil relieves dryness both on the beard and the skin beneath. You then cap it off with the Beard Balm that shapes, styles, moisturizes, and tames for a sculpted look. The Pro Beard Kit also comes with 3 special gifts: a beard brush, comb, and scissors to ensure your beard is ready to impress. So get 20% off and free shipping with the code Campea at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use the code Campea. Manscaped Beard Hedger, 1 stroke, 1 guard, 20 lengths.
And thanks to Manscaped for taking care of your face and making sure there's no fungus among us, which is great. And now we come to the point of the show that can be divisive, can be, well, we have issues.
We do.
You and I have issues. Like sometimes different
we're
things.
copacetic, and sometimes no bueno.
Now, I have to say, this was you picked this issue that we have today, which is a great issue to pick because there's been all this talk after that mysterious meeting Jason Momoa had with James Gunn and Peter Safran coming out going, whoa, you know, he was all excited.
Yeah.
And of course, everybody is speculating that the main man is Jason Momoa going
the
to
Scourge
play
of the Cosmos.
Lobo.
Yeah.
And what better time than January to talk about this pick of yours, Kris Carr?
I do think this did drop in February of '92, though, which I do love. But this is the Lobo Paramilitary Christmas Special.
And that's actually, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, gentle beings, kind souls, however you identify, this is a real cover.
It is.
The Lobo Paramilitary Christmas Special.
I love this. And I think this might be an out of left field thing for a lot of people too, because there is eye violence in this one. It freaks me out each time. But I love, love, love this issue. It is so wacky. If you love Violent Night, imagine we took David Harbour, we put some Juggalo makeup on him, and we let him still fight Santa. All right? That's basically all this is. The Easter Bunny hires Lobo to whack Santa Claus.
It's true.
And that's the whole plot there, folks. I love it so much because Lobo in the 90s basically was a character that was meant to parody. He was supposed to kind of point out all the hyperviolence in comics, the kind of big metal, big hair kind of trend we were seeing from the 80s, and then ultimately ended up becoming a parody of himself in that way.
Yeah.
But this is such a quintessential Lobo story. It's so bananas.
And this, I don't know if Simon Bisley did this art, but this artwork is great.
It is Simon Bisley. And then it's Keith Giffen and Alan Grant doing the writing.
Right, doing the writing. And what a great team. I mean,
look at Santa.
I mean, look at this art. And this man, Simon Bisley, he's the quintessential Lobo artist. And you can see there's a little Sienkiewicz in him. There's a little, was it Jay Lee in him?
It's got almost some Frank Miller sensibility, too.
Yes.
Those really, really hard lines and just
Absolutely.
how grizzled everyone looks.
I mean, come on. And this is, what a great comic this is. Great pick. Again.
Yeah, see, there's the eyeball. Oh, golly.
Die, you naughty bastard.
But man, it's so good. And I just always want to bring this one up because as we've talked about Lobo and specifically Jason Momoa potentially playing him, so many people have talked about how, I feel like this is a downgrade from Aquaman. He's such a secondary or weirdly tertiary character that not enough people know about. When you look at the oeuvre of Jason Momoa's work as of late, he loves weird, wacky, bombastic characters.
Yes. Slumberland we talked about.
Yeah,
great
he's
example.
so great as Flip. He loves these kinds of characters. And I think this is such a fun guy for him to play because you can tell a story like this, especially with someone like James Gunn at the helm going, yeah, we could have Lobo fight Santa. That sounds friggin' hilarious.
Well, and you pointed out earlier that Lobo has been in many different kinds of stories.
Exactly.
And John has said, Lobo's the kind of guy that you could have fight Superman. He can be a foil to different people.
Exactly.
He can join groups. You know, he can do a lot of things and as a character that can flit between different characters and different locales. It'll be interesting to see like a character like Jason Momoa an actor playing a character like that.
He is quite the character, though.
He is quite, yes, he's quite the character himself, but it would be so much fun to watch him dive into this role. But I think the important thing is, before they can make him the wacky character, they do have to establish him as a character we believe in. And to me, it's the kind of thing that James Gunn does so well. I don't know if he would direct the movie, but I think you would understand the sensibility, because it's tough. It could be a complete ridiculous parody, which they don't want. You have to make this character have credibility, so then you can do whatever you want with him.
For sure.
Like Deadpool can now be in a movie with Wolverine, but you had to establish that that first Deadpool movie had real pathos. And
exactly. There's a real center there.
Yes. And they've got to do the same. I think they have to do the same thing with Lobo.
I'd agree with that, too.
This comic is not that.
No.
But
it shows you where you can go and why someone like Momoa would be attracted to the part.
Yes, and I don't think this comic on the secondary market is that expensive.
No, I don't believe so.
And I actually have this comic. It's
iconic.
I bought this off the rack. It's great.
It's a great one.
You guys, I have to point something out. I don't think you can see it from where you guys are sitting because the text is so small. But there's a warning label on the bottom right of the comic, and it says, "Warning, contains bad taste in the form of ultra-violence, icon bashing, the finger, and it's more offensive than Christmas usually is." That's such a great warning label.
So you know not to give it to the kids.
It's funny because Keith Giffen wrote the Justice League International comic in the mid '80s, and the humor in that, and J.M. DeMatteis too, is so good, and he really brings his great comedy stylings to this issue. It's a great issue. Well done.
Thanks.
You know what that brings me to now? Something else I like. Well done. My villains.
Ooh.
I don't know what kind of a segue that is.
I'm here
but
for it.
This is, I have to say, this is one of the more impressive 6-scale figures that has come out. It's been out for a little while, but it comes to us again from I think one of the best third-party unlicensed companies. Comes to us from So-So Toys. And if you look at certain Hong Kong vendors, like Toys Wonderland or Comic Sanctorum, you might be able to find this figure on sale, and I highly recommend picking it up.
Hello, everybody. I am here with the Viceroy of Velma, Rob.
I am not the Viceroy of Velma.
I have put no effort into coming up with a name today.
It's okay, but I can't accept that. But, let's go back to Viceroy of Verisimilitude. That's fine. But I have to say, Taylor, I am very excited about this figure. Now, this is, again, a third-party, unlicensed figure, but it's put out by a company called So-So Toys that is one of the... All right. It's an unlicensed third-party figure from a company called So-So Toys, and this is on sale. I got this figure on sale at Comic Sanctorum recently. This is Vincent D'Onofrio as Wilson Fisk. The figure is called The Boss Man. And as you can see, even third-party companies, unlicensed figures, if they're not going to make, if Hot Toys or licensed companies aren't going to make, give me a So-So toy of this. I mean, look at this figure. First of all, how Natalie dresses, got the Daredevil stand, but the head sculpt is incredible. And this is an amazing, amazing figure. I mean, look at that head sculpt. It's incredible. And look what else. I mean, it comes with, if you want, you can display him with his fine, fine clothes drenched in blood, or you can use the bloody head sculpt, and you can put these together depending on how you want to display yours. But I have to say, when this came out, it was an over $200 figure, and it was on sale at Comic Sanctorum for, I don't know, $100 or something. I mean, it is incredible. The tailoring on this outfit, the tailoring, get it, is amazing. I mean, having they don't make enough villains, but when you can get a great villain figure from a third party, my God, what a great figure this is.
This is really awkward. My dad has been the back of the shot the whole time. There he is, the trash can.
Anyway, great figure. And let me tell you, if it's not Hot Toys, So-So is killing it out there. And if you like your CW characters, like the Arrowverse characters, they've made some great Arrowverse characters, and they've made some great Marvel characters. This Wilson Fisk is one of them. Well, I look at that figure and I'm just mesmerized. It's so good. So yeah, check it out if you can, if you want one. They don't make enough villain figures. You get too many heroes, not enough villains. That's what I say. But you know who's not villainous?
Who?
The people who watch our show.
That's true. You're a bunch of delightful little sweeties.
That's right. And the best part of the show is when we can hear from you, from our audience, from those of you who are superheroes in your own lives, which we appreciate. So, Kris, who do we have here today?
All right, from Marasam. Did y'all know an animated Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur show is coming to Disney Plus? There's even a trailer for it. Yes.
Yes. We've talked about this.
Yeah. About 3 weeks ago, too, they did a little sneak peek look. There's a full scene you can watch.
Right.
And the animation is just stunning on this show.
It's really cool. I mean, look at this. I love the logo.
Yeah.
What a great logo.
It's so cool. I just love that we live in a world where this makes sense to have on television.
I'm right there with
I
you.
never thought we'd get this. Oh,
Who
and the
would've
soundtrack
thought?
sounded really, really rad, too, on this. So it's going to be a fun one.
Yes, indeed.
From Sam Fisher, I just watched the anime La Chorus Recoil, which is a slice-of-life action mystery about a group of high school girl Black Op agents. Highly recommend.
You know what? High school Black Op agents that are girls, right up my alley.
That makes sense for you, yeah.
Bring it to me.
Yeah.
Put it in my head.
From Southius, because we're now in the multiverse saga, over under 75%, Feige seeks out the Daniels for a phase 5 or 6 project. Also, 60% Majors has more than one role in Mania.
That's okay. Those are two good questions.
Yes.
I wouldn't be surprised, although I think the Daniels might not take a job doing. Here's the thing about Hollywood. When you get an Academy Award nomination for directing and your film's nominated, that gives you that you also wrote, that gives you a lot of credibility to use that clout to make whatever it is you wanted.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that they're going to go on the auteur path. They don't necessarily need to make a Marvel movie unless they really want to.
Yeah.
But the only clout that you get in Hollywood is the success that gets you the clout to make whatever the hell you want.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where they're at right now. So maybe they'll do.
Yeah. If there's a character they're really interested in, but also you are fairly restrained at Marvel.
Yes.
So.
Yes. I mean, you have to play the Marvel way.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
what are you going to do?
And the other part of that too, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Was it that King 60% Majors has more than one role in Mania? Yeah, over.
I'm going to say over too.
Yeah.
He's going to play multiple variants of Kang,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't be surprised if we see flashbacks or flash forwards or something.
Something, yeah, because time is just, wibbly wobbly.
The Council of Kangs,
Yeah.
they're coming.
From Jonathan Schultz. After Ant-Man 3, where else do you think we'll see Kang before Kang Dynasty? People are saying Loki season 2, but I'm thinking we see him beyond just that.
I think we're going to have to. I mean, I would say that the Kang Dynasty, I don't think is going to happen in one movie.
No, I think he has to be kind of omnipresent.
Yeah, and they've talked about. I read something that said we might see other examples of incursion in the Marvels.
Ooh.
So maybe we're going to be seeing more of Kang, because I think they really do. The thing about Thanos is was, when you first see him, he's a Titan from Titan. He's a big hulking monster character, whereas Kang, so far we've only seen him hanging out behind a desk.
Yeah.
He who remains or whatever, and we'll see his villainous side in Quantumania.
We've only seen him, oh, Captain, my Captain.
Absolutely. We're going to have to see him many more iterations of him, I think. So.
From Al Renshaw, you think Gunn will slip in a reference or post-credit scene in Shazam 2 to something that is part of his 8 to 10 year plan? It's getting towards end of January, and Gunn did say we would get more info.
I don't think so. I don't think there. I think that it's very possible that this might be the last Shazam movie.
Yeah, and if we were to get something post-credity, I feel like it would pertain to something within the Shazam realm, not the greater DCU.
I agree. And plus, the film was done before Gunn took over.
Exactly.
So.
That there'd be a reshoot issue, and I don't know, since we're finding out about their plans soon, I don't know if they would have had time to put something together.
I don't either.
Yeah, I think it's going to be kind of a Feige-esque PowerPoint presentation like we got on Disney Investors Day.
Yep.
Of being like, and here are my faces.
Yes, here's what we're doing. And, John said maybe tomorrow. Maybe Thursday.
Potentially.
Who knows?
From Al Renshaw, we need more Rob rants. # Team Rob.
Well, you get them. You get them on my own channel, too, on Robservations, my show Robservations on the Burnett Work.
Smash that like button.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah. Watch my friend's stuff. From James Argenta. Michael Cudlitz, Abraham from Walking Dead, has been cast as Lex Luthor in Superman and Lois. He becomes the 11th actor to play the role in live action. We almost talked about this. This was a contender for today's show.
I'm actually a fan.
We all like GoldenEye more.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Michael Cudlitz. I think, I met him like 25 years ago casting for a project.
Oh, cool.
And I think he's a terrific actor.
He's
I mean,
phenomenal.
he's chameleon-like. He can go between different shows. He's been on, he could play a great military officer. I think he could make a great Lex Luthor.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he's going to do with it.
Yeah, me too.
Especially in that show, because I think they've just been doing some really cool stuff.
I think so too. I think he's going to be good.
From Jonathan Schultz, if we do get an Invincible live action, I can see the style being like Hancock or the end of Man of Steel, but with more blood and gore.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
I
a
can't.
solid comparison.
But it's still. I just see that. I see dollar signs.
Yeah.
The problem is to do a film like that. It's going to be expensive, and will you get someone to spend the money?
Yeah.
Hard to say, but it's tough because it's a $150 million movie, and is somebody going to put that into Invincible?
Yeah.
And then they have to make it R-rated.
Well,
But-
does it stay with Amazon too?
Yeah, absolutely. They
So-
might, maybe they could afford it.
I was going to say they have the money. El Andres, do any of you read Berserk? And if so, thoughts? I haven't.
I have not read Berserk, although I've seen Gem Mint Collectibles have a lot of his Berserk statues, and I love those statues. And I keep, whenever I go to the local comic store, which is a shop called Quest, is the name of my comic store. They have a couple Berserk graphic novels, and it looks great.
Yeah.
I mean, but I just have never read it.
AM. Hey all, how would you like to see the new DC slate dropped? Video presentation? Tweets? Article in the major trades? Thanks. I would like James Gunn to personally come to my home and be like, hey, Kris, how do you feel about this?
Or send me a gift box.
Yeah.
Where you open it up, kind of like the Glass Onion boxes, where you get this puzzle box. You have to solve puzzles, and you get the different.
That's all I want now. Everything else will disappoint me.
One is like a crystal from the Fortress of Solitude. Then maybe you get a Green Lantern
Yeah,
power
ring.
ring. You know what I mean? Wouldn't that be great? Then you get the flat, maybe not the Flash ring,
Probably
but
not the Flash.
something.
Yeah.
And then at the end you get the invitation, but instead of the invitation, it's the slate. It
I would
tells you
love
what
that.
they're gonna do, and
That'd be perfect.
But
Honestly, though, he can tweet it, and I'd be like, all right.
I think that we're not going to get. They're not renting out a theater like Kevin Feige. It's going to be some kind of more of a announcement.
Yeah, well, and most of his things have been tweets updating
Yeah.
us, so I feel like we're going to stay the course on that. Maybe there'll be some media that goes with it. Maybe he'll do a little video with Peter from The Office.
Right.
But I think it's going to go on Twitter.
Or he's going to, and each announcement will have, well, it's what you've been waiting for, and he'll do a series of tweets all afternoon.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because why not? I don't know if his corporate minders would let him do that, but it would be kind of cool.
I would like it. I hope we do it that way.
I would too.
From Jonathan Schultz again. For some reason, I desperately want to see Daredevil team up with Moon Knight in Kang Dynasty or Secret Wars. I'm visualizing the epicness as I write this now.
Hey, my favorite run of Moon Knight, the original, there you go, the original Sienkiewicz-Mensch run. Moon Knight did team up with Daredevil because they're both down to earth streets in New York characters, at least as originally conceived. So they definitely work very well together.
I would love that. Nick Soto. Hi, guys. Rob, I watched Strange Days last week. Never heard of it. This might be the most underrated sci-fi in the last 30 years. Catherine Bigelow and James flexing that classic neo-noir with edgy sci-fi.
Nick, as I love to say, you and I, son, we park our shuttlecrafts in the same shuttle bay. Strange Days is I think, one of the most criminally underappreciated science fiction films of the last 30 plus years. It was written by James Cameron and Jay Cox. It stars, of course, Juliette Lewis, Ralph Fiennes, and of course, our favorite Queen of Wakanda and soon-to-be Academy Award winner Angela Bassett, who plays Lenny Nero is Ralph Fiennes' character's name, plays his bodyguard. She's his limo driver and ninja bodyguard, and she's amazing. But for those of you who don't know, Strange Days is currently airing on HBO Max right now, and it's set at the turn of the millennium from the year 2000. And in it, there is a technology called squid technology that can record everything you see and sense and feel and someone else can play it back, and it's as if it's happening to you. And it goes from there, and there's a police conspiracy in it. It's absolutely terrific. And no one remembers this movie. It didn't make a lot of money. And in the wake of the LA riots, I thought it was going to be incredibly incendiary. The great Michael Wincott plays record producer Philo Gant. And of course, Juliette Lewis sings in it, and she's smoldering, and she sings a song called I Can Hardly Wait, which is a showstopper. And it's got a great soundtrack, too. Everybody, watch Strange Days, and I appreciate you bringing it up. So thanks for writing in.
From Dr. J, Kris Carr. Hi. If you could voice an animated superhero and Logan could voice the villain, which characters would you choose? Ooh, why does he get to be the villain? Honestly, what I would really like us to be, and we've been this for Halloween, I would like us to be Zatanna, and I know he's not a villain, but Zatanna and Constantine. Because Logan does a really, really great Welsh. He also can do a whole bunch of other like English dialects, but when he does like the kind of Welsh version of it, I think it's fantastic. And I love Zatanna. But I want to be a bad guy. I like being villains. They're so much more fun. I'm nice in my everyday life constantly. Let me be a bad person.
I'm right there with you.
It's so much more fun.
You're not bad. You're just drawn that way.
Just drawn that way. From Jonathan Schultz. Robin Kris. Hi. If you had superhero names, what would they be? I'm thinking they'd have something to do with your awesome personalities. We do have awesome personalities.
I would be Verisimilitude would be the name. That would be my superhero name.
That's true.
And what I would do is I would bring reality to your life. I'd tell you the truth. I'd be the ultimate truth teller. Because what verisimilitude means is the quality of being real. And that's what I would do. I'd bring reality crashing down upon my adversaries.
I told someone in a session to bring some verisimilitude to something, and Logan just turned and stared at me. I was like, I know, I hang out with Rob a lot.
Tell you, it's my favorite word.
It's great.
Which, by the way, the first time I heard it was from Richard Donner in behind the scenes clips from making Superman the movie, and that was his buzzword on the set. He had to bring that quality of being real to Superman.
I like that. I'd probably still be the Empress of the Enchantress of Effervescence, and then be like a little fun witchy gal.
I'd buy that.
Yeah. I've always wanted to have plant powers, though. I don't know what my name would be to go with that. If I wasn't doing something based on my personality, I want plant powers, because then you can eradicate world hunger.
I like that. What about the Rosie Thorn? Or
Something. We'll workshop it. We'll figure it out.
That's a bad name.
Yeah.
We'll come up with something
That's
better.
fine. We're live.
Daffodil.
Oh, that's precious, though. I like it. Okay.
There you go.
What else we got?
Daffodil.
From Chuck New 52. The Flash has been my favorite hero since I was a kid. All the issues with the movie pains me deeply. How important do you think he'll be in the new DC? I mean, this version won't be.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Flash is pretty much like a cornerstone member of the JLA. So I think they're gonna start from scratch. They're gonna give us a younger Justice League. We're gonna see when the Justice League form, because we never really got that. You know, that we kind of got it where Batman gathered the troops, but I want to see the Hall of Justice.
Yeah.
You know, I want him to go full on Justice League satellite. You know,
and Batman being the one to bring everyone together, though, just never made sense.
No.
It just...
Batman's the reluctant joiner.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you want me in Justice League? Let me think about it.
He's so annoyed anytime he has to help them, where he's like, you all have superpowers. Get out of here. I don't like any of you.
Yeah. I don't trust any of you.
As great as Ben Affleck was, as charismatic and wonderful as he was, I was like, this is a great Bruce Wayne. And a Bruce Wayne would pretend to want to bring people together.
Yes.
But a Batman would not.
That is correct. I agree.
From the Geeky Unlimited, request for Amy Dallin to guest Heroes Reunion. Who's Amy?
Amy is Coy Jandreau and Amy Dallin, and John Schnepp and I used to be on Heroes together. I adore Amy Dallin. I don't think you could say that she feels the same about me.
Aw.
It's all right, you know, but Amy is terrific. And by the way, she knows her comics, and The Wicked and the Divine was something she turned me on to, which is still, there we are, which is still a great, one of my favorite things that anybody turned me on to. I did get the Image hardcover editions of The Wicked and the Divine, but I love Amy. I don't know what she's up to. I think she went to work for Nerdist for a while, and she's doing other Geek and Sundry and all kinds of other things.
Oh, very cool.
So,
That's
but I'm a
awesome.
big fan.
From Jonathan Schultz. I'm sorry, Kris Spellcheck changed her name on the superhero name question I asked. Don't hate me. That's fine, Jonathan Schultz. My name gets misspelled all the time here. That's all right. My parents named me Kris with a K because they didn't want me to be Christine Carr with 2 C's because they thought people would call me Cece, and that made my dad furious. He just hated that name. All my nicknames were always going to be boy ones. I was either going to be a Christine or Samantha, so I could be Kris or Sam.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we don't give in to hate on this show.
No.
It leads to the dark side.
It does. I think you're all just beautiful little babies.
That's right.
From Nick Soto. Guy, I also finished the Highlander series. The show has a lot of hidden gems. The endgame is now my new favorite guilty pleasure. The fight with Adrian and Donnie Yen was solid. Thoughts?
I like the Highlander series.
I never watched it.
It's pretty good. And I don't know if I can go with you all the way to Endgame, but yes, the fight between Donnie Yen is good. And it was compelling. The problem is, and there's an argument to be made that the Highlander series, other than the original Highlander, is probably the best thing in the entire Highlander franchise, along with the original film. Kind of like the Sarah Connor Chronicles was the best Terminator property outside of Terminator and Terminator 2 Judgment Day. So you're not wrong. The series is good.
Nice. From Jeffrey Lindenblot, on the topic of James Bond, why do you think that the character has not really had much big success in the comic book medium, but it did have a long run as a comic strip?
That's a good question. There have been a lot of James Bond comics. There's some running now. And I think the real problem with a James Bond comic is, as a gentleman agent, he's wearing suits, and part of it is he goes and plays Baccarat and he has witty banter with people. I don't think that James Bond lends itself necessarily to the comic book medium, even though it probably could, but it's just not as much. It's not what people want. But there's been a lot of James Bond. It's funny. There was a comic in the 80s called John Sable Freelance that Mike Grell wrote. He wrote it and drew it. And it was first by, I think, First Comics. And it was Bond-esque. And I really liked that comic. He had a really good mix of Bond elements and film noir and witty banter. Mm-hmm. It was good. But I think James Bond is tough to turn into a good comic book.
Yeah. I think it's just a medium translation thing.
Yeah.
From Billy Lawrence, Chloe Bennett all but confirmed today that she's returning to the MCU. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans, rise up. Ooh, that's exciting.
Are there any agents? No, I shouldn't say that. Yes, there are. There are. And hey, that would be cool. I mean, why not? With the multiverse, there's no reason why. We saw Anson Mount as Black Bolt in Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
If you had said on my 22 bingo card that I would see that, I would have said no. Mm-hmm. I couldn't believe he was in it. And if they tap into the Inhumans, there's no reason why they can't tap into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I said there was going to be zero chance. When we talked about it, I was like, there's no way they'd include any of the Inhumans. That show was trash.
Yep. But Anson Mount as Black Bolt was not.
No, it's true.
And that was such a baller move. Mm-hmm. Loved it.
Same. From Jeffrey Lindenblot again. Did you hear that DC, because of the cost, will not be reprinting new material from their classic 20th century catalog? I did not hear that.
That's just maddening. I mean, that's it. I love their omnibuses and I love their hardcovers and their absolute editions. I mean, I think that's kind of silly because those things sell well. Go to cheap graphic novels and see how many of those things you can still pick up. But I guess it is expensive. But that doesn't mean you won't be able to get them digitally.
That's true.
I hope.
Yeah. From King Daddy Goat. You guys are amazing. Much love from Kentucky. Aw, thank you, King Daddy Goat. Oh, from right there. Taylor, good job.
Thank you.
Well done.
Look at you
You're Johnny on the
Kentucky.
spot with that stuff, man. Wow.
From JCSC, one of my school pupils is showing interest in comic artistry. Any examples of great comics that stuck with you to give them some inspiration?
Well, it depends what kind of art you're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny. Elizabeth graduated from Art Center, which is a very prestigious art school here in Pasadena. Mm-hmm. And I was surprised how much anime influence. I thought there would be more regular comic art. It was almost 95% anime.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's one school. And I like anime art in terms of comic art. But I think what I've learned, and not being an artist myself, is one of the most important things to really understand is human anatomy and how to draw figures in many of their positions.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something, this is going to seem a little strange, but there are action figure bodies, silicone action figure bodies made by a company called Thyssen with a PH. And they have a metal endoskeleton and silicone over the top. And I didn't realize this because they're anatomically accurate, especially when you buy male figures. They come with various pieces. And I was like, what the hell is this? Anyway, I use it for my Freddie Mercury figure. But it's because they're artists' models. They're used, and it's a really great way to learn anatomy. You can get them in various ethnicities and various sizes. So learning anatomy is a really great way to start, because then you can, if you want to get more stylized, then you can. But understanding human anatomy is a great way to learn to draw.
Yeah, and just consuming art too. I mean, you can go down a rabbit hole on, artist TikTok. Our own friends too, J. Scott Campbell and Tanya LaHoo, do some of the most incredible art you're going to find. My buddy, the Snipposaurus, has incredible art as well. You can find all of those on Instagram. Tell them to just start following some people, and then, work on your craft every day. Work on that anatomy. Work on your shading. Figure out those different techniques, too, so you can start going wild. You got to color inside in the box before you can go out.
Agreed.
Let your student know that. From Jeffrey Lindenblatt, sorry, no 19th question today. Were you prepared for a 19th issue?
I was. I was not prepared for number 19. No. No, 19.
I never am, because I'm an omnibus person too, where I'm like, I don't know issue numbers. I double check them for when I talk about this show, where I'm like, oh shoot, I need a specific issue, not just. That's why so many of these have been like, well, it's a 5-issue arc.
Right.
Because that's how I read things.
Yes, I agree. But if you look up the old techno or dance song 19 from the 80s, the 12-inch remix on YouTube, I'm sure it's there. That's the first thing that came to mind. It's not a comic, but it's a number
bop?
19.
Is it a bop or a banger?
It's a banger.
Sweet. All
Yeah.
right. Check it out.
Rob, was that a jump scare for you, the count? Because one of the first things we ever talked about was James Earl Jones counting on Sesame Street.
Yeah, but it was not a jump scare because the count was fun. James Earl Jones just scared the hell out of me.
Yeah, that was really
Except when
spooky.
he would smile, like he'd get to 7 and he'd smile.
Oh.
But that him
Before
count.
all that, you were just like, that's Darth Vader.
Well, that's what. No, because see, I hadn't seen Star Wars yet, and so I couldn't even sit in the same room on Sesame Street. You can look this up on YouTube. James Earl Jones would count to 10. 1, 2, and it just scared me. The way he said it scared me, and it was the anticipation of what was going to happen when he got to 10. So when I saw Star Wars for the first time, and I heard Vader's voice, I was like, I thought that was I can't tell you. I thought it was the most genius move in cinema history because I'm like, whoever picked, that's it right there. He was scary. James in the black shirt, and the way he started, he was so serious. Because on Sesame Street, it's always, this show is brought to you, that's an electric company, brought to you by the letter A or whatever.
Yeah.
But James Earl Jones was really, Vader's voice, I knew exactly. I didn't know his name yet. I'm like, that's the guy that counts to 10 on Sesame
man.
Street. I couldn't believe it. It was the coolest thing. Everyone in the theater was like, my mom's like, what? It's the greatest thing ever.
Love that so
George
much.
Lucas, you picked the right
job.
voice.
From Jermaine King, 7 of 9. Thank you both for making the show amazing. Thanks, Jermaine. You're amazing.
I just want to point out 7 of 9 is in fact a Star Trek reference. Jerry Ryan, who comes back in Picard season 3, coming to you on February 16th.
Oh, that's right around the corner. Ooh,
It's
I'm
true. And by the way,
excited.
on SFX magazine, they have a cover story about the show. And the guy who wrote the cover story said, yes, this is as good as you've heard, or you're not going to believe how good it is. All the keyboard warriors are going to have to finally admit or something. I saw it
Because
today.
you already ate crow and were like, hey, this is actually a really great season.
I did.
Yeah.
I look, you know what? I will admit when something's great.
Yeah.
I have no problem admitting it. It's great.
Well, because you want Star Trek to be wonderful.
I do.
I'm glad it's delivering.
I want everything to be wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean, I go into everything going, this is going to be wonderful until it sucks. And then I'll get angry and rant about it on the internet for 4 years. And I won't get over it.
That's okay.
Ever.
From Daniel Vacara, John mentioned Well, let's try that again. John mentioned Shazam. Wow, what is wrong with my mouth? Shazam being lucky to break even today, but Deadline broke down that it made $74 million compared to Man of Steel's $42.7 million, which is still crazy with how much Man of Steel underperformed so much.
Well, here's the thing. Man of Steel did not underperform. It underperformed in terms of expectation, but it still made a lot of money. And if you look at it in comparison to the previous Superman movie, Superman Returns, which it didn't even make over 400 million. Man of Steel did okay. It really has to do with how much it cost. And, everybody expects, well, this movie's going to make $1 billion. But, it might have underperformed as far as they wanted it to perform, but it's still, as you pointed out, it still made a profit. Just because it was $42 million. Movies make a lot less profit than you think they do. Yeah. Everyone thinks, remember, the box office grosses, half of that goes to the theater. Mm-hmm. So in terms of what the studios get back, cut that in half. And then remember, they have their interest payments to pay back. They got overhead to pay back. So movies don't make nearly as much profit as everybody thinks they do.
It's true. From Max Power, all of Ezra's work since 2015 has pretty much been with WB. I think this is why some WB executives want them back. They've also worked with Gunn in Peacemaker cameo.
Which was also Warner Brothers. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anyone wants them back, truly. I don't know. Maybe that'll change. The whole structure is changing.
Although, here's the thing. Mm-hmm. Unless they are dreamboaty to work with, you're never... and James Gunn has flat out said, we need people that are great to work with mm-hmm. and that are perfect for the roles.
Yeah.
And they're going to... I think that's what you need. There's too much money at stake every moment on a film set.
Exactly.
To have any problems of any kind. And then when you're marketing something like this, mm-hmm. I mean, who knows? I'm just really hoping, honestly, as somebody who is a fan of Ezra Miller, mm-hmm. their performances in stuff like Perks of Being a Wallflower.
So good in that.
And we have to talk about Kevin. Terrifying. I want them to succeed.
Yeah.
And get the help they need. And I want Flash to be great. Great. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping it's great.
Yeah. You just, number one in your call sheet, it's a big responsibility. And obviously there are people in Hollywood who are wildly difficult to work with or problematic. But it's nice that people are taking stock of that. And when you are number one on the call sheet, meaning you are like the lead actor in something, you have a responsibility to everyone who is working with you, because when you do some bullshit, that puts everyone's work in jeopardy.
It's true.
So you gotta be able to bank on your stars.
Indeed.
From H. Conte. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Is it time for Oscars to add a stunt category? Half of the movies nominated for Best Picture, like Avatar and Top Gun Maverick, used a stunt coordinator.
We talked about that today, and we've talked about it here on the John Campea Show quite a bit. And John always points out the problem with having an award for stunts is usually there's a team of people involved. And now with digital technology, where does a stunt end and the digital technology begin? Mm-hmm. And I think it would be hard for the Academy to actually identify what makes a good stunt today.
Yeah. The Screen Actors Guild, they do have an ensemble award for stunts on films. Outstanding performance by a stunt ensemble in a motion picture.
Yes.
So the actor union recognizes that. But part of doing stunt work also is seamlessly not knowing
right
when that person is doing it. So it'd be difficult to highlight individuals. So I don't know.
Be tough.
From Daniel Vaccara, I hate Lobo in everything except Superman the Animated Series and the Justice League Animated Show when he tries to replace Superman after his death. He's great as a supporting character in a certain context.
I won't disagree with you.
He can be a lot.
Yeah, but I think that they can write. That doesn't mean he can't be written as a great character. But it's tough. I mean, look, if you look at that iteration of Lobo, it's hard. If you have a real human being inhabiting that role, I think you can make it work, but you'll tailor the character to the however the character is written will be tailored to a live action rendition of that person. I don't think it's going to be motion capture CG if you've got Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
He'll be in makeup the way Drax is in makeup.
Exactly. From Chuck New 52, I would kill for a Knight's Tale figure. I love a Knight's Tale.
A Knight's Tale's awesome.
It's so fun.
I'm sure that there is a third-party 6-scale figure of Heath Ledger in A Knight's Tale. I bet somebody has made one, and if not yet, somebody will someday. So keep on the lookout for that, or maybe even go to the eBay and the Evil Bay and see if they've got one.
I was gonna say a quick Google search. There are some little like in plastic figures that you can get on eBay.
Yeah.
They're not great.
Yeah, that's the thing. Will you get a great third party?
Yeah. But one day, maybe. I would love that. And
Yeah.
is that it, too?
That is it for Super Chats. I just have one thing for you, Kris.
Uh-huh. God damn it.
Yeah, why don't you explain what this is?
I ruined the day I put that as part of the media we would use to talk about that comic.
It's
You know
a
what's
pawn
funny?
from a big chessboard.
Dang it, Thunderbolts.
I don't know if people are even going to know what that is because when the internet went out last time, oh no, but we put up the recorded one. So people know.
Yeah.
They know.
They do know.
Well, that'll do it for
That
us
was some
here
high
at Weekly
comedy.
Hero.
You know, Kris, speaking of voiceover,
Yeah.
where can people find you and your voiceover class?
Oh my gosh, you can find me through my studio. Oh, Taylor, you're so sweet. This is
thank
my
you.
website I built, speakfriendstudio.com. My husband and I run this. We do voiceover coaching. I do voiceover audition coaching. I also have a group class. A new boot camp is coming up February 18th. So if you want an intro to VO boot camp, that'll be coming up. Logan does a lot of intro work. He does dialects. We are going to also start adding some workshops. We're going to do creature work, fairy tales, and all kinds of cool stuff.
And what's the website?
Speakfriendstudio.com. You can
Wow.
also find us on Instagram or just follow me on Instagram.
When is your next boot camp?
February 18th.
There you go. All right.
Where can people find you, Rob?
You can find me usually here, but if not, find me on my show, Robservations, on my YouTube channel, The Burnett Work. There'll be an episode this evening. Or you can find me on Instagram at RM Burnett, or find me on Twitter at BurnettRM.
Wonderful.
Come pick a Twitter fight with me.
Aw, yay. And making sure everything ran smoothly today was Mr. Taylor Gonzalez. Taylor, where can people find you?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Twitter. And you can find me on my own YouTube channel, 50 Shades of Tay, where I will be covering Pasadena Comic Con this weekend, this Sunday, January 29th at the Pasadena Convention Center.
And you just reached a milestone on your YouTube channel, did you not?
600 subscribers. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. It's been so much fun having my little baby channel grow. It's so exciting.
Yeah.
Well, go there and smash that like button.
Smash it.
Well, I guess this brings us to the end of issue 19 of the Weekly Hero.
It does.
Wow. I mean, we got to come up with great 20th issues. Maybe that's what we should do next week. Pick our 2 favorite 20th issues
Oh, that'd be cute.
for the issues between us.
Okay.
I think that would be fun.
Love our comics do battle.
Well, yes, do battle. That's right.
Perfect.
I mean, a lot of the comics I love never even made it to 20 issues.
That's true.
It's sad. I'll have
Oh, it's going to be really depressing doing this now.
We're gonna look it up. But on that note, from all of us here at the John Campea YouTube channel, we want to thank you all for watching. Thank you for supporting the channel via super chats and tips. You give us great things to talk about, and we love it when you comment on the show down below. Share, like, tell your friends, subscribe, do all of those things, so we can go to issue 21 and drink.
Woohoo. Yeah, Dryberry will be over. And Rob and I will be back on the main show on Friday. We'll see you then. Bye.